Hey everybody and welcome back. Today we're going to discuss why is it that so many people in my comments section dislike living in Spokane. When I am trying to research ideas for videos, sometimes I'll just go to Google in an incognito window and just type in Spokane and then kind of see what the most popular searches are. And I am not somebody that spends time on Reddit. I don't think I've really been on Reddit more than once or twice in my entire life, but I came across the Spokane subreddit and got to reading and actually found a post on here. I think you call it a post, I'm assuming, for let me know if you're a Reddit user, what the actual terminology is. But somebody actually commented on here and said, why does it seem like so many people dislike living here? So I thought this was really interesting. It's one of the most popular posts I've seen in the Spokane subreddit with over 342 comments. So we're just going to kind of go through, take a peek at what the locals are saying about Spokane, some of the good, some bad, and you'll be able to kind of take that information and see if Spokane is a good fit for you. So let's get into this video. And if you have no idea who I am, I'm Haydn Halsted, realtor here in Spokane, Washington, helping people buy, sell, and invest real estate in the area. If you are looking to make a move or you want some information on your home's value, you can use the link down below in the description to schedule a meeting directly on my calendar at a time that's convenient for you. And we are starting up our weekly newsletter again. And so there will be a link down in the description to get information on Spokane sent directly to your email at least once a week to stay up to date on the housing market, restaurants, things that are happening in the Spokane area, so you can start to get a feel of what Spokane is like. So I'm going to read this post here. So the person says, so I'm traveling and just passing through. And last night I went to the downtown and was absolutely blown away. It was incredibly beautiful. I had an amazing time walking around and checking out shops and bars, listening to live music and seeing the beautiful river area. Plus, there are a ton of other cool looking events going on this weekend. I loved it so much that this morning I was looking into moving here and seeing what people thought about living here. And a lot of people on this subreddit think it's pretty meh to live here. Why is that? What do you not like about the city or wish it had? So we're going to see. This was posted 23 days ago, so 342 comments in that amount of time seems like a lot for the Spokane area. So we're just going to go through. I want to read this top comment here, the one that just comes up first. She wrote quite a bit. What I think is most interesting is that she moved here from Montana about 4 years ago. So many of you are moving to Spokane from a larger market, from Phoenix, from LA, from Seattle. And so I think it was interesting that this person actually moved here from a smaller place and had a lot of good things to say. So she says, one is the public school system is very well run. Her kids have a great experience. The teachers are mostly excellent. Neighborhood schools are good, and the alternative schools and programs are far more varied and accessible than what I grew up with. It's well funded. The teachers and staff seem to be well compensated. It's largely avoided the reactionary school board protest nonsense that a lot of places are dealing with. My sense is that there's pretty bipartisan support for maintaining a strong public school system. So I have lots of friends, I grew up through the Spokane District 81. So if you don't know how the Spokane School District works or Spokane schools, is that in the city of Spokane, there is just one massive school district called District 81, and that basically covers the city of Spokane. I believe there's 6 high schools, like 10 middle schools, and then 30 something elementary schools. And so it is, a lot of people ask me like what the good school district is, and I'm like, well, if you're going to live in Spokane, it's just this one massive district, and they're just in different parts of town, different neighborhoods. So really it's kind of, what neighborhood do you want to live in? And then we can talk about if you want to cross a certain street, so you can go to one high school over the other, because they're very specific on their boundary lines and things like that. But then there's the Meade School District for the north side of Spokane. The Valley the Valley and Liberty Lake have their 3 respective school districts, a little bit smaller. And so some of these districts, some of these smaller districts, depending on where they're at and what the tax levies are. Let's say Meade has a higher tax levy and more expensive homes. And so for the 2 high schools that are in that community, they're very well funded. But then you have places like the West Valley School District where home prices aren't as much. And so the amount of tax dollars going into, I believe, just the one, maybe two high schools out in that district aren't getting as much money as the Meade School District. And so there's a lot of different opinions from friends that their spouses are in the school districts, and it's just whether or not people have a good opinion. What I do know is that I have I worked with different people, or I know different people that maybe if both spouses in the relationship are teachers, it's very possible that they're, as a family, clearing 175 if they've been teachers for let's say 10 plus years or so. They're making well over six figures as a family. But even as a couple newer teachers, where some friends of mine, they're both teachers, music teachers here in town. I know that they make well over six figures as a couple, and they've only been teaching for less than 5 years at this point. So teachers are actually pretty dang well paid here in the Spokane area, and are not like on food stamps, like where, because I have a teaching degree, and so I, like in Montana, you probably would be on food stamps for as little as you make as a teacher in that area. So let's keep going through here. Climate is better than what I grew up with. I lived in Montana. The winters are brutal there. Food options are good and varied. I think this is an interesting one because a lot of people, as she says it, she doesn't understand why so many people think that the food is bad here. There's a lot of good options, and if you go through and read this subreddit, you'll see a lot of people believe that there's just not as many international options. We're lacking in Asian inspired restaurants, but we do have a large variety of like Hispanic, Mexican restaurants, and then just overall Americana food. So there's a list here kind of this person's favorite picks of some of the restaurants that they would even put up against restaurants like along the West Coast in Seattle. Like they think that they're just as good and then probably half the price of anything over there. But Kismet is in one of the more lower income areas of Spokane, but is like one of the best foods. Like, I don't know, the Kismet is amazing. Like if you're in town, go try it. I would just like, there's some places that are just absolutely amazing, and they're pretty dang affordable compared to what you would get if you were in a big city. And so if you are making a trip here to Spokane, check this list out. These are all great restaurants, or you can reach out to me. I have a whole blog written on my website of some of my favorite restaurants for all different meals and types of foods. And so you can kind of go through and pick and choose what might be a good fit for you. She says, downtown is great. Riverfront Park is a gem. Waterfall is gorgeous. I think that what I like about this portion of her comment here is that what is the reality of the crime and the homeless situation for people in here in Spokane? She says, I think Facebook and Nextdoor are responsible for making people hypersensitive and suspicious. So I probably shouldn't even say this, but like one of the worst things you can do if you're looking to move to Spokane is start following this Facebook page called Spokane News. I'm sure many places have a page like this, but this guy basically just sits on the police scanner, and it can be, and he just posts almost any time that there's something going on, whether it's a brush fire, a vehicle accident, a major crime of some sort. And so it can make you feel very worried about for your safety here in Spokane. But if there was a Seattle News Facebook page, I mean, I can guarantee that it would be every minute, if not more, that something crazy was going on. And so I think it's just the fact that people spend so much time on Facebook. Nextdoor, don't even get me started. I mean, I've tried to advertise real estate services on Nextdoor, and it is that place is crazy. Like, it's just those people that are sitting at home watching their Google camera, feeling completely insecure about their location, or but even in the nicest neighborhoods, being worried about what is going on in their neighborhood. And so it's just not worth your time. Like, you're just not going to sleep well at night if you're taking in all this information of other people that are worried. You're going to start being worried too. And so I think this is a good comment. But she loves the individuality of neighborhoods like Garland, South Perry, Central Sprague, Kendall Yards, Hilliard. They all have their own identity and feel and are very walkable and interesting. She says that you need to basically spend time walking these neighborhoods, understanding the culture and character of each one. Don't just be that person that just drives to Costco and back and never enjoy the culture and the history that Spokane actually has here. Then she comments on the community of Spokane. My kids love going to the parades that happen downtown 4 times a year. We love going to the symphony and fireworks show on the 4th of July, Bloomsday, neighborhood street fairs and festivals. The Garland Theater does midnight movies and film festivals, costume nights, things like that. And the music scene is a work in progress, but events like Lucky You, which unfortunately is closing, and the Pavilion are getting better and better. The Comic-Con isn't as big as Seattle, obviously, but it's also 5 minutes from my house. So there is a lot of community festivals here. This past weekend, we had the Tacos and Tequila Festival, which they shut down the entire street in front of the Spokane Public Library downtown. There's all sorts of food vendors and music and art, and it's kind of like a Hispanic heritage festival, but it's such a good time and like a good party. And then this coming weekend is Pig Out in the Park, where there's going to be something like 500 food booths, 107 local bands on like 5 or 6 different stages playing live music over Labor Day weekend. This is one of our biggest festivals of the year for just getting downtown, supporting music, supporting local food. And so I don't know. I feel like there's always something to do if you're willing to look for it and get out there. So then she says, I think Spokane is doing a lot of things well, but then when it comes to urbanism and strong town development, it's still a work in progress, but some of the traffic calming projects like Monroe and Mission are top notch. The transit system is pretty robust for a town of our size. The city council has done some amazing things with missing middle housing laws, getting rid of parking minimums, encouraging infill and neighborhood development. Some parts of town have excellent cycling infrastructures, though it's still a work in progress and needs more connections and protected lanes and greenways on key routes. We've had a lot to be proud of, and I think it's going to get even better over the next 5 to 10 years. So yeah, I think there's a lot of great things going on, great initiatives to hopefully encourage more public transportation. I was just reading a map for Seattle and just the expansion that they're going to be, the continuing expansion they're doing of the train there that they have. I can't remember what they call it, the light rail. But because I was riding it around Seattle 2 weekends ago, and it's like, I've been to a lot of the major cities, and that's probably the nicest train transportation of any major city I have come across. And it would be super cool to have something like that, because maybe riding the bus isn't the most enjoyable thing, but riding the train around Seattle is like a piece of cake, and it's kind of enjoyable actually. But there's a lot of pushes for, we've just opened up a new electric bus system that's super convenient, is constantly running. I think like every 15 minutes to and from Brown's Addition out to the community college. And so we're getting a lot more of these initiatives to start pushing for more regular bus routes, limiting the amount of lanes and stuff, because another big push right now is for Division, our major north-south corridor, to go from 3 lanes on each side to 2 lanes, and making that 3rd lane a permanent bus lane, and so that the buses can just run constantly without traffic. I kind of disagree with the biking thing. Biking is not the easiest in Spokane. You have to be pretty committed to making it work. There's a couple streets downtown that they've recently opened up green bike paths, and like they put the parking close to the sidewalk, then there's the bike lane, then there's the road, but there's only like one of those. And I think then Spokane, you have to unless you're really fit and you're really a biker, you got to live in certain parts of town to make that work. Like you got to live in the Garland neighborhood at the furthest, the Logan neighborhood, or East Central, West Central, those types of kind of centered areas to make biking to work possible. Or if you live like on the South Hill, you are living on South Hill, working on the South Hill, maybe you just work from home and you bike to go do your regular things, but it's to get up and down that every single day would be tough. And then if you're living anything further than Garland, like you've got a pretty big commitment to bike that. And so unless you're able to make it work with a bus route alternative as well, then you're not going to really go down Monroe or Maple or Division on a bike, because it's just not super bike friendly, and there's just a ton of cars going at all times. So I don't necessarily agree with that, but let's jump into some of the responses here. And so some people are thinking it's great. So there's a couple comments here that seems like people from Seattle, which makes sense, are complaining about the food scene and the options. This person said they lived in a condo in Seattle and was walking distance from 5 Ethiopian restaurants serving food until 2 a.m., 7 nights a week. There was another person here saying they wished we had Korean barbecue or hot pot, and that Mongolian grill is not an alternative for that. So I will definitely say, yeah, I mean, Spokane, there's not a ton of options past, I mean, even 9 p.m., but really, I mean, 10 p.m., unless you're going out to the bar scene. Most restaurants are closed. There's only a couple late night spots now that you can go to. One being Off the Wall, which is half a bar, half like it's a food truck inside of a building that just serves like hot dogs and hamburgers. And it's a solid place, but it's just a quick hamburger, a quick hot dog late at night. It's not like this fix of getting Ethiopian food at midnight or something like that. When you're hanging out with your friends doing board games, you want to just go grab some food or something like that. And so there's not a ton of options late at night here, especially any other night of the week besides like Friday and Saturday. So getting off that original post, and if you're finding this video insightful at all, or you had never thought to go visit the Spokane Reddit because people are just brutally honest here, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, show me that you appreciate it, and drop a comment down below. Let me know what you need to know about Spokane to make the move possible for you. I'll make a video on it and do my research for you and get you that response. So this guy said he moved here in October from Phoenix, and he asks himself every day that he doesn't understand why people dislike living here. He's enjoyed it so far. Cool town, got its own vibe, beautiful outdoors, people are nice, neighbors have a sense of community, this 4 seasons, amazing parks. Not sure why so many people have sticks up their butt about it. Does it have crime? Yes. Does literally everywhere? Also yes. Post the pandemic, property crime has gone up everywhere, but a lot of people act like Spokane is special or different with regards to crime. People need to get off of Facebook. So definitely somebody that has lived here their entire life. Things are different. Things driving down Division and Brown looks a lot different than it used to, with there being fentanyl problems and meth problems in the area. It's just a hub for the homeless population because of the different homeless shelters that are in the area and the different subsidized housing in the area. And so there's it's just kind of people that come off of the Division exit to do some of their more commercial shopping, the portion of downtown that actually has cool stuff going on. They don't actually get to experience any of the joy of Spokane downtown. They just come off the Division exit, drive through what is a pretty chaotic area, but if you've been to any other major city, they all have hot spots for homelessness and for crime. And it's just unfortunate that in Spokane, it's just right off of the main exit from the freeway where it says, "Welcome to Spokane." And then that's kind of what you're greeted with. It's just not a great placement, but it's no different than any other place at this point. All right, so here's a comment from somebody that has been here for 25 years now, which is basically how long I've been here. You can only take it for a grain of salt from me because I would have been barely born at that time. So, they say Spokane still isn't entirely home after 25 years. I'm not sure it ever will be. There's a lot of clannishness here, making it difficult to make friends. They say they struggle as a non-religious and non-outdoorsy person, which I could see that. There's definitely a culture of going to one of the bigger life churches. Like if you are somebody that is into the more modern church, you will have a community. Like if you are somebody that goes to one of those, just modern churches with a band and the whole thing, there's a big community for that, and you will find your people. And just because you're showing up every Sunday with a common mission, a common goal, and common people around you, and so you're gonna have no problem. And then non-outdoorsy, I mean, I don't do any winter sports. I've snowboarded one time. It was a traumatic event for me, and so during the wintertime, I don't go out and do a lot in terms of nature, things like that. In the summertime, this is my busy season for work, and so I get out and hike as much as possible in the spring and the fall when I can. So I can relate to this person. Like there's definitely, you're going to have to think outside of the box. If you are not going to church and you're not super outdoorsy, you're going to have to find your niche of people that work for you, whether it's in the art scene, the music scene, the food scene, anything like that. But they say for a long time now, the low housing prices kept me here. I was able to raise my kid as a single mother without being forced to have roommates. But that obviously is changing and harder for people to do nowadays. She says she thinks there's a lack of a good museum, which I don't know if maybe she's never been to the Modern Art Museum in Brown's Edition, a zoo. We do have cattails, but a zoo would be pretty cool. First run theater touring companies, which I don't get because we get like we have the Civic Theater, which does amazing local shows. We also have the Spokane Valley Theater, which does amazing local shows. The Coeur d'Alene Theater that does amazing local shows. And we get tons of Broadway tours at the First Interstate Theater downtown. She says we're missing In-N-Out. There's definitely way better burgers in Spokane than In-N-Out. We actually have a local business that's a collector's Lego store, and a Lego store is opening up in the downtown mall. We don't have an IKEA, but I think we're probably all better off without it. And Trader Joe's is better than Whole Foods anyway. So those are my opinions about it. But so she says, I have restaurants I love. The cost of living doesn't seem much worse than anywhere else. She says it's incredibly dog friendly and service dog friendly around here. And she believes that public transit is actually pretty decent. So, and then she also says that on the times that she feels kind of meh about Spokane, that's when she knows she needs to plan her next trip out of here, which I know helps me stay excited. I go on a lot of different business trips for real estate, for my semi-music career that I have. And so getting out of town, experiencing other cultures, and then coming back and appreciating the simplicity that Spokane has to offer really kind of humbles you and makes you excited to live here. So that's kind of all I'm going to go through. There's some more positive comments. There's some very dark comments on here as well. And so if you want the full scope, there's a whole Spokane subreddit page that you could go read through, get more people's opinions on the Spokane area. And if you have any questions about moving here, my name is Haydn Halsted, your real estate resource here in Spokane, Washington. I'm helping tons of people right now buy, sell, and invest in real estate here in the Spokane area, and would love to make you next. Use the link down below in the description to schedule a call with me at a time that's convenient for you. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.